Hello and welcome you all to the intended parent joining us today. My name is Jordan and I'm here with CFC founder and CEO Leia Swanberg. Leia is an experienced surrogate and egg donor herself, and she has some great information on building a relationship with your surrogate. Before we get started, we'll wait for a few more attendees to join us. I'd like to share that this webinar is being recorded and that everyone who is registered will be sent a track to rewatch it. We'll also make this webinar available on our website, YouTube, and Facebook pages. At any time throughout the webinar, please pop your questions into the GoToWebinar Questions tab, and Leia will be answering everyone at the end during a live Q&A session. Okay, looks like we're ready to get started. I'll pass it over to you, Leia.
Excellent, thank you. It's great to keep connection going and to have the opportunity in our slower pace right now to offer these webinars and hopefully provide intended parents, and we're doing some webinars for surrogates on just some practical tools for building your journey. And so first I want to say that surrogacy as an intended parent is the most courageous act. To trust someone in this way is so beautiful, and having been a surrogate myself, it was everything to know that someone in this world trusted me to build the most intimate relationship of my life with them in starting out as strangers, and of course becoming connected really for our lives through this beautiful process. So showing up for yourselves in this way and finding an amazing woman to partner with you in this journey is just such a pleasure for us to watch. So for 14 years, I have been supporting intended parents and surrogates as they build their relationships and as they build a foundation for the relationship that will grow organically. And when I talk about organic relationships, it really is about, I can give you all of the advice, I can give you a to-do list, I can, create opportunities for you to connect with your surrogate. And at the end of the day, it really is about the relationship that develops, that is, uniquely yours. And so today I'm going to share a few tips and some advice and some things that I've seen helpful. And I really hope that you find it useful in building this relationship with your surrogate. So first, really delve into, whether it's just yourself or yourself and a partner, delve into what surrogacy looks like for you, what type of involvement you want, not the type of involvement that society tells you you should have. And when I talk about society, I mean the many, many people sharing their journeys on social media, the therapist at a clinic, your fertility doctor, your lawyer, your parents, your friends who have gone through a surrogacy. It is important that while that information is great, that you know that you can take it or leave it. Because again, everybody manages this process very differently, very differently. And so what are you looking for and why? When you think about surrogacy and you think about the deal breakers, the type of woman that you are looking for to show up for you in this way, who is she? Begin a list of pieces of information that are important to you. Make a list together of what matters to you when you are embarking on this journey. It truly is the most intimate relationship you will have with a stranger ever in your life. And so knowing what it is you're looking for is very important. Knowing that Mary Poppins is not floating down from the sky with an umbrella to hand you a baby is important. And here's why. Having been a surrogate, I would have done everything my intended mothers would have asked me to do. I would have stood on my head for 9 months if it meant that I would be pregnant, she would have a baby, and there would be no hardships along the way. But what I learned very quickly is that infertility is uncontrollable. Whether this works or not is outside of our realm of understanding. Why it works or doesn't is also outside of our realm of understanding. And so it's so important that as you're looking for this woman who will show up for you and will participate in this to your level of comfort, because you will set the pace, know that a strong, committed, compassionate woman is the key. It is the key to success, because this journey is not easy, and it is imperative that the participants be strong, that you build an interdependent relationship that is based on respect, hard work, because this is going to be the hardest job you have, is becoming a parent through surrogacy. So how do you manage hard stuff? How do you manage when things don't go well, when things don't go your way, when you're disappointed, when you're hurt? Because you are pulling this woman along onto the roller coaster, and when it's stuck at the top, teetering back and forth, are you holding her hand or are you screaming? The key to a good relationship with your surrogate is your willingness to hold her hand. Because but for the fact that she's doing this for you, she would not be doing this. So how do you hold her hand? How do you create this relationship? So in the beginning, you share the hardships. That's a do. Share the hardships. What you don't do is be negative about those hardships. What you do is be hopeful. What you don't do is be fearful. You can talk about the past and how hard it has been, as long as at the end of it, you say, we are hopeful. We are so committed to our success. We are so committed to becoming parents that we will not give up. And we are so grateful to have you in our lives. Talk to your surrogate about your dream of being a parent. Talk to your surrogate about your support, the people in your life, the grandparents, the aunts, the uncles. Don't talk about what has and could go wrong. She knows. If the worst thing you do is wear rose-colored glasses, you will have an amazing journey. If you get stuck in the negative loop of infertility and your story and the sadness and the shame and the da-da-da and the da-da-da and the, all of those things, it will scare a potential surrogate away. Coming at this process from a place of love, from a place of connection, from a place of honoring this amazing woman wins every time. Coming from a place of fear and doubt and what ifs will limit her ability to be hopeful. It will limit her ability to connect with you and to support you. So we want positivity. We want to encourage and support her every step of the way. Once you're matched and once the process is moving forward, you want to be open. You want to communicate often. So you want to share those pieces that scare you. And you want to do it in a way that is coming from a place of love and not fear. So when I talk about that, I talk about it in this way. An example. We've never gotten to the 6-week mark in a pregnancy. And so we're pretty scared. I want to be upfront and honest with you about that, because I want you to know if we're not quite as excited as you would imagine we'd be, it's because we haven't gotten here yet. But we are so grateful that with your help, we're here. Or with your help, we have such an amazing chance to get here. So that's a place of love. A place of fear would be, we don't want you to test. We don't want to know. We're really scared. Please just tell us once the doctor tells us. A shutdown response based on fear. A shutdown response based on fear throughout your journey, throughout the connection, really has the ability to damage your relationship. You know, communicating often, asking about other things, chatting about other things. If you're in a holding pattern, you know, to stay connected, stay close. Hey, how's your day? Hey, how are the kids? Hey, how's your spouse? You know, today I was at blah, blah, blah. Today I walked by a baby store and I was able to get a little bit excited and then, you know, started panicking, but I did get a little bit excited. You know, letting her know what is inspiring you, what is keeping your mind occupied, how you're getting through this waiting time. Really, really important. My biggest tip for intended parents is to be curious, not nosy, as I itch my nose. And that would look like, hey, I'm curious. If you'd be up for us coming to your next midwife appointment, you know, we'd love to meet this midwife that you keep talking about. She sounds amazing. Or please tell me when you're next, and that would be a phone call, right? We want to do as much real life or even a text, a light text, instead of an email where you've CC'd CFC staff and everybody else. And, you know, hi, when is your next midwife appointment and what is the address we will be attending? So while that's not nosy and curious, it's also an example of, you know, how you would approach things. We really want to make decisions together, you know, and we really want to see this relationship as a partnership. And so pacing yourself, you know, you are absolutely here to have a baby. If you make a friend along the way, that's amazing. That's like an added bonus. But know that until a pregnancy results, it's important to pace yourself. I suggest not adding your surrogate until you are pregnant, because if you don't get pregnant, which happens, and you move to another surrogate or she moves to other intended parents, will it be painful to watch? Will it be painful for you? Will it be painful for her? So really pacing yourself. And if she's like, you know, over communicator or big communicator and you're a little bit more reserved, set the pace. She texts you, reply in 2 hours. She texts you, reply in 4 hours. She texts you, reply in 8 hours. You know, really ensuring that you are developing this interdependent relationship rather than a codependent relationship. Start at a slow pace and build. Because if you go there real quick, it's really hard to unravel that relationship. And many of us have experienced that in our own lives. You meet someone, you jump into this great friendship or this great relationship, and it's so big, and then you realize it's not maintainable. So then you start drawing back, and then they start wondering what happened. Was it something I did? Was it something I said? I'm now pregnant. Have they lost interest? I'm 24 weeks pregnant and nothing's going on. So all of a sudden they've disappeared. Building that relationship slowly is really, really important, and setting the pace. You have a baby coming likely in a year. Being exhausted is not an option. save your energy, protect your energy, so that as you're communicating with your surrogate, who is an amazing woman who you want to, tell everything to and be a big part of her life and her yours, still, it's really important that you guard your heart, that if you're in a relationship, that you take turns on that. I can't tell you how many surrogates have told me, I talk to intended parent A all the time, but B never reaches out. B, reach out. She needs to know you're both in this. And if you don't know what to say, get A to tell you what you could bring up. Really important. If you're in a relationship with a surrogate you haven't met because you live far away and you spent all your money on IVF, or you just really are going to wait until midpoint in the pregnancy, there are so many ways to connect through FaceTime, through Skype, through text, through email. But ask her, hey, we'd love to know what communication looks like for you. We want to communicate effectively. We want to have a connected and committed relationship based on trust and honesty. And so we're not going to make any promises that we can't keep. And if you ask us a question, we're going to tell you straight. We are going to tell you straight. And that's scary because this woman's shown up for you and you want to keep her engaged, but it is imperative. It is imperative. And if you don't know how to say the thing straight that you need to say, call your case manager if you're working with an agency. If you're not working with an agency, call your therapist. Talk to a friend on how to communicate this with your surrogate. Make decisions together, as I mentioned. When you're talking about birth planning, this is her birth, but this is your baby. And it's important that you show up for those conversations. And when you do, you're able to say, one thing that's really important to me is that I advocate for my child, whether they're here or not. So I've got some questions for the care provider that I'd love for you to ask. Because if I don't ask them, I'm going to feel I failed as an advocate for my child. And so if these questions seem silly to you because you got 5 kids, I'm okay with looking silly because it's important to me. And if I don't communicate clearly with you about what is important to me, I'm not giving my all to this relationship. And giving my all to this relationship is a commitment I made before this relationship began. The next chapter, do not, I repeat, do not make any promises you are unable to keep. Don't tell her you're going to talk to her every day after she has the baby. Don't tell her that she will be the godmother of this child unless she will. When she asks about a relationship post-birth, tell her, I am so grateful. I am so grateful that you are here, partnered with us in this amazing journey, and I truly hope we stay connected forever. Because you likely do. You're not telling her to what level, because that's different for everyone. But if you share with her your intentions, if you share with her the intentions you have around the relationship post-birth, she will then know what your plans are. But if you make promises that you know you can't keep, or that you're unsure and you're just saying it because you want to hang on to this relationship, it is not fair to her, and it is actually worse than saying nothing at all. So my suggestion is to truly build the relationship that works for you. And there will be difficulties throughout. She will be pregnant. And I can say this because I've been pregnant 7 times and had 8 babies. If something is troubling to her, you will know, and you will know directly, or you will know through the agency that you're working with, the doctor you're working with. Someone is going to tell you you have upset her if she can't tell you herself. And if that happens, it is important to make it right. And that would be a phone call like this. Hey, Jenny, I got your email. I wanted to respond by phone. It is imperative that you know how deeply committed I am to the success of our relationship. And so, in whatever way I have upset you or I have not been attentive to your needs, I'm sorry. Can we start over? And that's it, really. Like, that is it. And it is so important because at the end of the day, do you want to be right? Or do you want to be in right relationship with your surrogate? Being right won't matter if you're waiting in the waiting room and not included in the birth because you've had this falling out that can't be repaired. So being in right relationship with your surrogate rather than being right is going to serve you through this entire process. And sometimes it's tough because you will be apologizing or you will be making right something that you know was just a misunderstanding. But rather than saying, I'm sorry you misunderstood me, you can just say, I'm sorry. And that your intention is to make it right. As I finish this webinar, I want to encourage all of you to get out a piece of paper, write down what is foundational to you in a relationship that works. Write down what is important to you in a relationship. Set those intentions. Set those intentions in a way that will honor who you are, in a way that will have you committed and connected to your deepest loving energy, to your partner, but also to your surrogate. Be who you are. It is so important that you are in right relationship with your surrogate based on the right relationship you have with yourself. That when you are making decisions, that you are checking in with yourself, that you're checking in with how that feels in your body. Does it feel like it just settles? Or does it feel like that breath is right in your throat because you are coming from a place of fear instead of a place of love and settled? A relationship should feel like your best pair of jeans or your best pair of leggings or your best comfortable dress. It should feel that way. And if it doesn't, reach out to someone who can help you make it that. Thank you so much for being on this webinar. I truly appreciate that. If you're here, it's because you want to have a great relationship, or you want to build a great relationship, or you want to rebuild a great relationship. I hope that, oh my gosh, my nose. I hope that you found today helpful, and I would love to answer any questions that people have, Jordan.
Leia, yeah, we have some questions here. I asked that if anyone else on the webinar today has any questions, please write them in the question tab now. The first question we have is, how do you suggest that we build a relationship with a language barrier? We are from France and speak French and would like a relationship with our surrogate.
Sure. So what I've noticed in these years is that when there is a language barrier, it can actually create a deeper intimacy because there's no small talk. It is very intentional conversations. You are relaying information intentionally, and so there is less chance for misunderstanding, if that makes any sense. There are also amazing apps, talk to text apps. There are, DeepL is a great app, Google Translate. Get an app that you can, sort of put on your phone and communicate, and just communicate. Share what pregnancy looks like in your part of the world, what prenatal care looks like in your part of the world, because it's different. Canadian prenatal care is different, and I would say 25% of misunderstandings happen because where I live, pregnancy care looks like this, and in Canada, pregnancy care looks like that. And for them to sort of look similar, it's a bit of a stretch, right? So definitely just continue to communicate.
Great. We have another question here. These IPs, they would like to know any advice that you have on how to ask for updates when there's silence from their surrogate without coming off as pushy.
Sure. So my suggestion always is to have, when you meet a surrogate, and you may be further into this journey, and so I'll give you some advice on that, but when you begin your process, to say to your surrogate, so once a week, let's have an email where we'll send you questions about the pregnancy, like sort of more of a formal, like, so what happened this week in the pregnancy? Was the baby kicking? Did they do the heart rate? How is your blood pressure? Like, there's going to be sort of more of a, business-like email, because we'd like to keep all this information so that we can remember this pregnancy. Separately, we'd love to have a fun, light relationship, and we'd love to do that by text or WhatsApp or WeChat. But each week, we'd love to have an update that we can put into a baby book, because we're not there, and we'd love to have that. If you're already pregnant and wanting to establish that, then what I would do is I would send an email and say, hey, we've really thought about it, and we'd love to have weekly updates on the pregnancy. And so each week we're going to send an email with some sort of medical kind of questions, or each 2 weeks. We don't want it to take away from the fun we're having building this relationship with you, but we really, we want to keep track, because we're going to put together a baby book, or we'd like to be able to show our child in the future, like, this is what their pregnancy was like. So we'll do that email, and then we'll still continue our fun chats on WhatsApp or text. And I would separate them. So that it's not mixy, so that it's just, here are our questions about the pregnancy, here's the relationship we're building with you. And if you want any ideas on templates or sort of how to put that together, please send me an email. I'm more than happy to do that with you.
Great, thank you, Leah. That's all of our questions for today.
Excellent. Thank you so much, everyone. Please email me. We're going to send this out as a video for you to watch. It's also going to live on our YouTube channel. But if you have any questions, or you're struggling in the relationship with your surrogate, or you're just unsure how to really build an authentic relationship that is built on trust and care, commitment, love, reach out. I would love to give you some more hints. And yeah, we'll talk to you soon.